Well, hi, welcome to this video. We start getting the lower cowl in position. We've got the upper cowl relatively sorted, so let's see what I get up to. Come on then. Well, there we go, a bit of trial and error. I've just got the cylinders, the studs are just sort of sitting there, so I've got the cylinders in position and the cylinder head on. I've just been dressing this back. It's taken me about sort of 6 stages to get it to where it is for this side. There's the final clearance around the cylinder head on this side, and on this side. So not looking too bad. I've got the cowl kept centre. It's reasonably there, I'd say. So, next bit, still working on that access point up there. And we can take this little lot off and start working on the on this bit here. I'm just going to take the cylinder heads and that off out of the way. Now that we've got that cut out, the main reason we're getting this cut out sorted out, there'll be another cut out. Oh, I think it's about here somewhere. It'll be about there. Be a cut out section for the tube to come out to go to the inlet manifold. That's going to be down the line, post covering, once I've actually got the engine's installation happening. Same with the cutout for the bottom of the lower cowl. That'll be finalised once I've got the injector air filter and everything in position, so I know exactly how far I'm going to cut that out. So the next bit I'm going to try and work out, once I've got that top done, is and got that a bit sorted out, I'm going to start just putting in the some of the pieces I think make up the bracketry, top and bottom for there, and that to see what we can do with the lower cowl in, put the lower cowl in position. By having this cut out here now, I can get on the inside to lay up supporting structure to be able to attach the lower cowl to the upper cowl. When it comes to that, it will be temporary little plating going across just to hold everything in line. Okay, so that's a P40 smeared over the area. A lot of that will be sanded back, and then we'll be able to do the filling. So we'll let that cure off completely, and hopefully we'll stabilise the cowl a little bit more. Oh, there we go. That's got the main structural resin fill in, so it doesn't feel too bad. So it'll now need to have its light skim going across of sort of finishing filler. Well, there it is at the moment. I've done all the filling and sanding, wet sanding down, and I've just sprayed the guide coat of primer over the outside, and there are a few little bits which need a bit of stopper, and it needs a coat of high build primer really after that. So it's getting there though. There are one or two, as I say, one or two little bits that just need a little bit of stopping. The side along here, there's a load of micro blisters which have been sanded into, so it's got some little holes and things like that down here. here where I haven't done any particular work. There's a few which probably don't show particularly on the camera. Okay, so here we have it. What a disaster area it is in places. Here it's had some filler put on, not particularly well, in various spots, literally just sort of plastered on the outside. Horrible, absolutely horrible. And then if you look, there's a joggle section there. Well, that varies from the front section about here, where it's 3mm, down to a bit just here where it's 1mm, and there's actually a piece here where it's 0.5mm. So that's really useful. And then there's a big chunk of filling stuff going on there. I really haven't got a clue what's going on with that. I think what they had is because they had a step in the mould, they gelled it and then they laid up, and they actually had a void between the gel coat and the inner layer, the actual fiberglass. And when they pulled out the mould, it probably left the gel coat behind and left the void exposed, or it's just crumbled up afterwards. I know the feeling, I've had it. But anyway, for my purposes, it's yeah, horrible. Well, things aren't quite as bad as I thought. It still fits like a moustache on a chicken's lip, but I managed to get the whole cowl to move back about 1/4 inch, and we've got rid of the stress on the front section there without having to cut the slot. And we've got just enough down here to make it reasonable there. We've still got a bit of work to do at the front end. I found that this section of engine here wants to poke through by, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch, and that was causing most of the aggravation. There's clearance around the rest of it. Well, so that's rather interestingly sort of set the height for the cutout. So the cutout for the oil cooler will have to encompass that, and that'll just sit there sticking out the front very slightly, I suppose. We'll try and work out what attaches to that, or what could be attaching to that. I'll have to look through the engine instructions as to see whether we actually need it there, once it does. But hey ho, might have more work to do because the oil pump and everything sort of sits behind that for a lot. This lower cowl is going to be quite a piece of thinking work to be done, but yeah, I don't think it's too ugly. Okay, I'm bending up the brackets, these little brackets which I've sort of fabricated. I'm using bend bars, and I don't know if you can see, there's a line just there. That is the line for the length that I want to be sticking forward, minus the thickness of the metal. So now when I bend this, the length will be spot on, and the radius I'm using is 2.5 times the thickness of the metal, because the minimum radius is twice the thickness of the metal for 6061 T6 and 6082 T6, which this is. So there we go. I'll tap this with a hammer and bring it over, or with a mallet rather, and I'll bring it over till it's flush on there. That should be about 90 degrees. There we go, nice bend, nice radius, 90 degrees. You get very little spring back going off the blocks. and if you need to adjust it, you could just put one of the flats into vice and give it a gentle tap. You're unlikely to produce a hard crease that's incorrect, but there we go. These currently drilled to take just a standard self-tapping screw to hold them into position, but what will happen is they will get countersunk, and these are 3.5mm. I'll actually use a 4mm diameter stainless steel countersunk wood screw going in a reasonable distance through the plywood section and into the vertical support member, and those screws will be resined into position once everything's sorted, but just for the temporary measure at the moment I'm just going to use self-tapping screws, because it'll just hold it just nicely. So they're attached. I think you might be able to see I've put a mark in line with where I want the centre of the screw holes to be, so I'm going to drill through there on those 4mm, the same as I did up here, so we can use the gripper pins to hold the cowl in position. I'll get the top cowl back into place, and we'll start fiddling around getting the lower cowl into place, and I can then make up the plastic bridge piece. Right, I've cut out a little bit here. It's nowhere near full size. It'll probably come down to about there, I should think, and further forward and back a little bit for the cylinder head and barrels. I've got these 3 screws are just sort of randomly placed in because they're going to be filled up afterwards. These 2 screws are where screws are going to be fitted. There's 1 screw going to be fitted in there, but that goes to the inner section. So now I've got that, both sides sorted out, I can cut away the lip, the joggle section, which is on the lower cowl, the original one. Cut that away. I've marked on the from the inside using the firewall the line I'm going to cut down here, so I can trim that off after I've laminated this little lot up. Well, I trimmed the edges off, set things up, front and rear, and put the screws in, and I've done the resining on this side. Same as I did before, I waxed the actual plastic section, and this is a layup of 2 lots of carbon twill and 1 lot of glass twill. Try to remember the figures. It's 300 gram carbon, so 2 lots of 300 gram carbon and 1 lot of 250 gram glass. So there we go. It's got excess lip, so I can actually have a bit of a lug on it for the upper cowl mounting about here, and it'll go down to about 20mm, 3/4 of an inch wide strip with anchor nuts as appropriate there, and then these holes, as I said, will be filled. Well, there's the second side with its layup on. So that's both the rear sections sorted. I took the plastic off that side there and drilled through where the self-tappers were at the top and put gripper pins in. I'll do the same at the bottom one there once that's secured off. So that really is it for this week now. Well, that's it for this week. We've got the lower cowl starting to fit the upper cowl, at least where it touches. Yes, there are some bits and pieces with the cowl which the the lower cowl, same with the upper one, you know, varying in thickness from 3.2 millimeters down to 0.6 millimeter along various areas, so it just shows a bit of inconsistency on the fabrication of that cowl. I have sanded away the thicker sections, and will sand away if I find any more. Hopefully in the next video I'll get the rest of the lip sorted out towards the front end of the cowl, so that we've got a joining section there, get the back end trimmed to fit the fuselage, and get the cutout in the lower cowl to match the cylinders and cylinder heads. And at that point, if that all works out as it should do, I'll probably put the cowl to one side and start doing some other little bits and pieces in preparation to allow me to get the fuselage ready to cover. So we'll see how that goes and what areas I get up to. So hopefully you enjoyed this. Keep well, keep fit, and look after yourselves. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the thumbs up. You can subscribe or even hit the little bell notification for future videos. Any comments would be appreciated, and I'll try to get back to you as soon as I can. Remember, go fly and feel the sky.